know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworld.
Yeah. I don't know. They just launched the like friendly play battle mode. And I haven't been brave enough to play Ken or Kareem yet, but it'll happen soon.
And that's where you can like choose who you're playing. It's not
yeah.
Okay.
When I start a match, I can generate a code. I can share it to a chat, and then Kareem can jump in. I actually did that. I was going to play a friend of ours, Tim, and I shared the code in one of my channels, and just out of nowhere, I'm like, wait, why am I getting a? I was planning to play Tim. Out of nowhere, it comes in with what is it? Happy Hulk? Is that Happy Hulk? I'm like, wait, why am I playing? Wait, Happy Hulk? That's Kareem. Why is Kareem in here? Because I just shared the code, not thinking anyone else is on, paying attention, and he's like,
because anybody
all
get
right,
the hands, bitch.
I'll come in there and catch it. And he's like, oh, my X-Men deck is getting beat.
Yeah, it wasn't designed for your shitty Deadpool deck.
I mean, Ken, I'll play you and just do what you do better.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah. I mean, I've got skin in that game.
I'm just farther along. I just have more cards. That's all it is.
Gauntlet Throne.
All right.
Infinity Gauntlet Throne. But
you know where there isn't an Infinity Gauntlet? The DC universe.
I mean, technically, they did have one at the end of.
Shut up.
Thanks, everybody.
Sue you right now.
See you next podcast.
It is legally
to be here.
Yeah.
What it's a forever glove?
Yeah, because it was what's it? Highfather had it. It was essentially like he had gathered together all the lantern rings and made a Infinity Gauntlet type thing, and like it was essentially the Omega glove. I think, what do they call it? God,
you really called it
the God glove.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Is that like the power glove? So bad.
I think it was just Michael Jackson,
but in the good way, like cool. That's Michael Jackson. Yeah. Well, you got to put the rings on. You can't have the fingers, otherwise the rings won't fit.
That's true.
And see, they had set. Did it include the Black Lantern ring?
No.
Well, wait.
I would assume so.
Would it be a more equivalent comparison to say, and maybe I'm off base here, but I know it may not be an actual glove or gauntlet, but with like when Hal Jordan or someone else had all the rings on his hand?
Yeah.
Would that be a better comparison?
That's kind of what it was, because he did end up having, I think, the White Lantern at one point too. Because it's like kind of the crux of it was Kyle gave up his power to Highfather. Like he's like, okay, you can use it because you're not going to know what to do with it. And they're like, oh no, he's corrupted. No, I'm going to take it back.
Okay.
But no Black. So not all.
But like, I mean, to your point though, like you don't really, if you're using the lantern rings, you don't need a glove.
Well, I mean, it's like having the Infinity Stones that are just kind of all put in.
Well, the stones need to be put somewhere,
right?
But each of these had
you can put them on his fingers.
Yeah, as I'm saying, you don't need a glove. You just have your individual hand. Which is also interesting. Like, if you don't want the glove, like the rings or anything stolen, just put them in your pocket.
Just put them in your pocket.
Little gem collection.
I mean, this is also there, but we're also in a world.
I'm just saying. Imagine Tony reaching for the glove and the stones are in your pocket. Like, gotcha, bitch.
I mean, but what happens when you get Scott Lang, who is a pickpocket?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
All of them.
Also, you've got Jean Grey, who can just like lift them out of your pocket too. Like,
Jean Grey hasn't shown up yet. Yeah, I don't think she will for another like 10 years.
At least.
The way the MCU's going. We're going to hint about mutants and never show you a mutant.
What? They hinted. There were two hints.
Well,
two.
I guess we got a first mutant in Namor. That'll be enough for the next 5 years.
I mean, spoilers, but if we're talking with
it's Marvel, I guess.
Yeah, Kamala. I was about to say, Kamala Khan. She may be our first.
Yeah, well, I mean, he actually acknowledges that he's one. Her friend was like, I think there might be one.
Yeah,
it's alluded to.
I don't think they're using. Are they using capital M mutant, or are they using you freak? They're doing it that way. Might be.
I think Namor. I think Namor used capital M. I think.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it with subtitles to make sure.
Yeah, because
That's fair.
fair enough. I think with her, she's like, oh, it's like a mutation, and it's just like, but we also had Professor X in. I mean, spoilers. We had Professor X in the single verse of madness or whatever it's called.
Oh, you mean all those
but that
multiverses
was-
that you got to
No,
see?
it
I was so
wasn't a
confused.
multiverse. Wasn't a
There's too many
multiverse.
of them.
It's like two.
That
like
was
two verses.
that was the Inhuman version of Professor X. That was the Inhuman version.
Fair enough. There you go.
Marriage and Miss style. Did a full trade with Miss
He's
Marvel.
He's created in the same lab as Rocket Raccoon.
You know who's a big fan of Rocket Raccoon? James Gunn.
That is true. When he gets
segues.
back on track, Pat.
Yeah,
I love these
I'm
segues.
working on it.
All right. Well, does everyone introduce themselves real quick and get this interesting pod started? Pat, go.
I'm Patty Kells.
Go ahead, Ken. What were you going to say?
No, you're good. I
No,
wanna hear
too
about
late. Too late.
No, Patty Kells.
That's
is here.
it. Patty
What's up,
Kells.
Patty Kells?
That's
Hey,
all
Patty
it is.
Kells.
Patty Kells.
Boom.
No one's going to call you that.
I hope not. All right.
This is Kareem. Hi, Giant. What's next?
Ken,
Should I go, Ken?
Yes, Kurosh,
Okay.
please.
I was gonna
Well,
let Kurosh go last and talk, but
Yeah,
okay.
he's the guest.
Go
All
ahead,
right.
Ken.
That's fine.
You
I'm
can,
Ken.
You can have.
He deserves the
I'm-
last word.
I'm the hero hype and hoppa. Enjoy yourselves. Carry on.
Whoop, whoop.
very nice, very
Alright.
nice. My name is Kurosh. I go by kujoprime. One of the
Like that.
co-hosts and founders of the weekly DLC.
Sweet. And a special guest tonight to talk about all things DCU coming up, I guess. And I had a lot of thoughts. As Ken could attest
Yeah,
to.
yeah. He's
So I need
been.
I need people to bounce the stuff off of.
I just want to say to start the DCU in theory.
Pending.
Put
Okay,
that
yeah.
out there. In
Patent
theory.
pending. In theory.
Hey
yeah.
man.
I mean,
Well, I mean,
We'll
there's
get
some stuff
into
that's
it,
already
but,
greenlit that we're going to be seeing in the next couple of months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They didn't make a little Batgirl movie and then throw it away.
Yeah.
Sure. Definitely 100% all gonna happen because it's
yeah,
greenlit. Yeah.
we are.
We don't know what
100%
Ezra
gonna
Miller's
see-
going to do next.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Like they could just be like, you know, what, let's
They're
test
a
the
wild
waters.
card.
Let me see how dedicated they are to my movie. Like,
I'm
let's
still a
do
costume.
this.
The
I
cops
will
can't catch me.
test them.
Yeah.
In order to become the greater hero, I must test them with the greatest challenges.
There you go.
I'm
Real
the
life
Reverse
Ezra
Flash,
Miller will
which
be the
is-
Reverse Flash.
They
Yeah,
will become
exactly.
Professor Zoom and be like,
I'm
"Oh,
working
no."
on my next role.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have what was it last week? Gunn gave his announcement. It was about 6-minute
Lay it out
video.
40 years
Yeah.
worth of DC content.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not called
Well, I
phases
mean-
though. He's not like it's. We're not like
Chapters.
Marvel. We're chapters. It's completely different, legally
Okay.
distinct.
Right.
Oy.
Apple
And,
oranges.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's
He
like
went through-
apples and a ham sandwich. That's how different it is.
It really is.
Not even a fruit.
He went through a slate of projects. Many of or at least the first few ones are ones that are already, I guess, in the can or
These are the ones I'm
Uh,
not responsible for.
basically. And it was really weird if you if you go back and listen to the announcement, you can see when you actually get excited about stuff, and it's really with Superman. But the first 4 projects are kind of like, okay, we got to kind of get these out of the door, which
Got some
are
bullshit
Shazam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman 2. I think he's a little excited about Blue Beetle. Not so much for Aquaman 2. And then we get into his chapter 1, which is Gods and Monsters, and he goes through the list that we'll go through as well. I don't know, did any of you guys get a chance to listen to it or read about his announcement?
Yes, I was able to watch
Ken,
it.
you're fired.
Then... Well, the other thing that was interesting, in addition to what you were saying, how he kind of brushed through those beginning ones that were already kind of slated, it was interesting. I thought there was at least a hint of excitement or energy when he was discussing some of the Elseworld that he described, the Joker project, and then the more the where his energy I really saw was the Matt Reeves Batman Part 2.
Yeah, I watched apparently like 4 minutes of the first. I don't know, something like that. But it's funny to say like, oh yeah, we're gonna have the same characters through all of them, the same actors, even from animation to this, except when we don't, because
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
But
I
I
mean-
did like how he at least said, like, whenever it's not gonna be that, we're gonna title them as Elseworld, so that hopefully, I mean, again, this is pending, this is intended. They do those future properties, like, wait, does this tie in or does this not? And if hopefully they'll have something where it's like Elseworld, I'm like, okay, I have a clear indicator as to why.
One
Well,
thing
see,
that I
this-
think
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. One thing that I think is kind of interesting there is that while I do understand that and I can appreciate that, I do know that like when you go to the comic shop, there are things that are labeled Black Label now. That these are just kind of their own continuity. Or for longtime fans, we've had Elseworlds, just like we've had What Ifs, and we've had that in the Marvel universe now as well. We kind of see like, hey, there is a What If kind of timeline as well.
Yeah.
The thing that's the question about that though is, will the general audience acknowledge that or understand what that means? And I don't. Something another guest of ours, Jason Patrick Gallant, has made comments about is like, do you trust the general audience? To a certain degree, no, I don't. Like, there's the discussion of like how they like, oh, people still leave at the end of Marvel movies. Like, oh, credits start, time to go to the car.
Yeah.
Those are the first people who die in the apocalypse, by the way. Just no common sense whatsoever.
The first people to die in the apocalypse are the people that stay for all movies now, hoping there's a post-credit scene.
Yeah,
I mean,
how is Nope gonna tie into the Marvel?
Yeah,
Cinematic Universe?
exactly.
I gotta wait. I gotta find
Wait, what
out.
is the Margot Robbie Hollywood movie called?
Babylon.
Yeah,
Oh,
how's
no,
Babylon gonna where there was
yeah.
Babylon sequel set up?
the funny thing is though, when you said Nope, how does Nope tie in? I thought there was a Leslie Nope Parks and Rec movie coming out called Nope, and my brain suddenly started building that in my head. I'm like, oh no, he means something different completely. I remembered the
And all that thinking, you'd have been chopped up by now. Zombie food.
Exactly. There you
That's
go.
fine. Okay,
Case in point.
I eat plenty of carbs, so I already ate the cordyceps. I'm done. Like, we're all out.
Fair enough.
Spoilers.
That is true. Big Bread wins again. But that, I mean, I think that was one of my first complaints because again, I have many about this announcement. I think I mentioned to Ken in a separate chat. I was like, the first day. I think we all like in the chat watched me work through this in real time because the first day I was like, hey guys, from what I read, this stuff sounds exciting. And then 24 hours later, I came back to the chat like, I've ruined it. And I actually listened to him go through this stuff, and I was like, oh, there's so many holes in it. And the first one being this Elseworlds thing, because I know he's kind of in a tough position to come in midstream, so to speak, and kind of right this ship or whatnot. And to your point of trusting people, I think the general audience will understand that there are two Batmans. They'll visually see it, and if they're, I don't know if they're going to be looking for a chance to tie stuff in, but I also thought this was an opportunity for DC or Warner Brothers to break all of that. Like to if you can't beat Marvel or even catch up to Marvel at their own game, then go a different route and just say, hey, we're going to have multiple characters. Like, you just find the story you like, you find the character, the actor, the franchise you like, and you go with it. We're just going to we're going to get you to that. We don't need to build out, one interconnected world. We can build out like the Matt Reeves Batman can go on. You can have your Penguin show that goes to that. And you could have, if you did Ben Affleck or something like that as a Batman, that's, the future gruff Batman who finds his son or whatever. And you have that Damian story along with that one. And that's the Batman people like, and you build out that world. Same thing for Superman. But instead they're trying to, I don't know, split the baby, poor phrasing, to do both. And I think they're going to fail at both.
Chop a baby in half.
Exactly.
Into multiple.
It's
Yeah.
worth noting
Multiple babies, mini babies.
it's worth noting too that they in his announcement and in like articles that would speak to his statement, they're like, yeah, it's gonna be Batman and his son Damian Wayne based off the Grant Morrison run. And I'm like, that's not Bruce Wayne in the Grant Morrison run. That's
Well,
Dick
that
Grayson.
was what I was gonna go into, is that maybe they
No, it's my turn, Kurosh. Okay, this how dare you? No, okay,
There's
go
a
ahead.
raise a hand
No,
button
no.
for a reason.
Well, like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
like Kareem, you were mentioning, and this, I just want to add to your point. There, we have the Matt Reeves one, Robert Pattinson. We're gonna have whatever that one's gonna be, and that's gonna be, I want to let you expand on that. But I wanted to mention that the Flash one is supposed to have Michael Keaton back. So
But they've also supposedly cut like 2/3 of his involvement in it, right?
Yeah,
Oh, did they?
yeah, they've gone back and done re-edits.
So
Is Ben
dumb.
Affleck still in that one
Supposedly,
too?
supposedly. No,
Or was oh okay. Was that the Batgirl project that he was a part of? I don't know who's a part of what
They
anymore.
were. I think they were. I think from what I remember hearing, that Keaton was in both the Batgirl movie and in
correct.
the
The
Flash.
Flash?
Movie.
The Flash.
Oh, okay.
Flash.
Well, because
movie.
I mean, that's the other issue that we're having here is that um, Gunn comes out and says that Gods and Monsters is the start of this new universe, and that's in 2025, which means you shouldn't have said this announcement now. And he lists a whole bunch of projects that are going to happen before it, which makes you think like, well, if you're starting a new universe with, in 2025 with Superman, how do any of these movies that we're supposed to be going to see tie into any of that, and why should we care? So you have the Flash, which is everyone thought was going to be like, oh, this is where you have the opportunity with your Doctor Strange-ish type movie to just blow
Hard
up the
reset.
universe.
Yeah.
Hard reset on everything. You can introduce multiple Batmans, you have all of this and do all of that, and I don't think they're doing any of that. They've actually probably reduced what they were going to do. Like if you were having Michael Keaton tie into Batgirl doesn't even exist anymore. So all that Michael Keaton stuff is gone from that. You're not allowing any of the old actors to come back for any of their roles. So any of the stuff that they do in the Flash, or if they're mentioned in the Flash, means nothing.
Oh, they
Well,
could.
they're all getting cut.
Who
They're all
knows?
getting cut from the
We don't know.
Flash.
Yeah.
We don't. We could. Who knows?
But
I
I'm
thought
saying,
they
but even
said something.
if they don't get cut, they
Oh.
in the movie they won't be going forward.
We're gonna get
This
Aquaman
would be
2,
their last hurrah.
and then Aquaman 3. I'm sure of it. Right? Right?
And here, but
No.
okay, so here's the problem. Warner Brothers has shown over and over again that if Aquaman 2 is a big hit, hey, James Gunn, I'm gonna need you to work Aquaman 3 into your plans real quick. Just go ahead and do that. Let's make that movie.
Would you
real
just be
quick.
Swamp Thing, but the Atlantic Swamp Thing?
Yeah. What if we just switch out Swamp Thing for Aquaman? They could do the same thing. It's fine. Fine.
There's water in swamps. Just make it, Gun.
Yeah,
Exactly.
let's do it.
Well, I wanted.
He's a
I was
freshwater king.
curious, Ken, especially with your hat too. Can you go touch back on your point about the Batman and Robin part?
Oh, just saying that that a lot of articles and stuff spoke to the idea of like, oh, it's Batman and his son, and just like the Grant Morrison run, and I'm like, that's not that Grant Morrison run. That's Dick. Like that's Richard Grayson, who is my favorite DC character, and I'm like, why? Like it should have been like. That seems like something one of the easiest things to kind of check off as you're going through stuff. Just be like, yeah, it's gonna be like this, but it's not because it's the story after because then we'll ask you story after that he dies. So okay, you know what? We'll just wait. It's gonna be based on some other stuff. I don't know. It just seemed like a weird, like
I'm curious
weird line to draw.
I'm curious if they do kind of find a creative way in which they establish like maybe like the pilot maybe not a pilot. It's a film, right? It's going to be a film.
I believe so.
Yeah. If the beginning parts of it are him and Bruce being shown, they kind of fast track the whole Bruce meeting his son, and then it cuts to like, okay, now we got, you're gonna have to go forward with Dick. Or if it's a trilogy, the first one is them establishing their relationship, and then
Can
the
they
second
do,
on.
like a Watchmen style, it's just take Zack Snyder anyway, 10-minute where it's literally Final Crisis or whichever one it was, where he gets shot with the Omega beams and dies, and like the actor they've hired as Superman 20 minutes ago is holding him, and then it just cuts to, I guess I'm Batman now.
It was Final Crisis. Or wait, no, I mean
It was Final Crisis.
Yeah, it was Final Crisis. But he also died in Batman R.I.P. So I was like, wait.
He
did, yeah.
He died in his
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's the tinfoil hat coming on early in the pod. Maybe, and I think this is gonna probably piss off anybody who was waiting on the Justice League. They are gonna do Grayson, and not introduce Batman and not introduce Superman for a long time. Like I don't, as part of the Justice League. Like maybe
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I mean
Okay.
that would make more sense, but no, it's gonna be Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
I don't think it. I mean, let's put it this way. I think Gunn's trying to hold off on the Justice League movie, and this is why he's replacing it with the Authority. And the Authority's going to come in and force them to form the Justice League. I think that's if I had to guess, his ultimate plan is the Justice League is here to replace the Authority because they've gone rogue. They've gone off. It's like the What do they call? What was the
The
movie
Seven?
with all the gods that
Seven.
we just saw from Marvel that no one liked? The Eternals.
Eternals.
Oh,
So they've gone rogue. Now we need to form the Justice League to stop them.
Why are they
But
speaking
we're
in
not gonna
Southern accents? I don't understand.
I also
We
wait.
need, no, they're
I
going to
don't-
be coming back to stop the Creature Commandos. That's the real threat.
There's that. I mean, there's the
You mean
like,
Suicide
hey,
Squad 3? But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I think is they're trying to hold off on the Justice League. Or at least Gunn is. Like, we'll see how these first few projects go before Warner Brothers like, you know what? You need to bring Superman in the fuck now. Like, forget about that. Forget about, bring Batman in, fuck your grace and stuff. But I think that's his plan, is to like wait to bring all these other people, which is why he said we're not going to bring back any of these actors, because one, they'll have aged out of these roles. Two, we're going to try and go in a different direction to force people to like all these other projects before we get to the meat and potatoes, because that's all people are going to want to see after this point.
I'm trying to find the point where James Gunn drops off before Superman Legacy.
you
Creature
think-
Commandos.
I was actually gonna say Creature Commandos. That was actually gonna be where I was gonna say.
I mean, it just I having, and again, you guys probably, especially Ken, probably know more about Creature Commandos than I do. But for my cursory research for this pod, it just seems like he's making another Suicide Squad type I mean, it's an animated show, not because he's using that same Weasel character. Which, having read his history, I'm like, I don't know why you keep trying to promote this guy.
because it's
So
played
like
by
his
his
brother?
brother. It's played by his
Yeah,
brother.
I get it. I get it.
That's it.
He's like nepotism, baby. That's what
You want that check to clear, baby?
Exactly. Hey, I want to make sure you get paid, because I know that Gilmore Girls reboot didn't work out, so there's no more Kurt for you. So I'm gonna get you paid, because I'm gonna get you paid as Rocket Raccoon in the Guardians movies. Then you get paid as the Weasel, and then then we get you paid as, because he plays Rocket Raccoon, the stand-in for Rocket, and he plays the God, I can't remember his name, but he has the Yondu Finn. He plays him as well.
What's his face?
So it's like he's getting paid hand over fist, just like,
Well, this makes sense now why he wants to do this fucking weird animation voice actors mashup, which is I think is the horrible idea.
I mean, it's
Well, because the
bad.
thing about it, if his brother, or it's his brother, right, is
His brother,
playing
yeah.
is voice acting the animated character, now he
Sean.
can do the live. He can be part of the live action stuff.
yeah, but also
Double dipping.
because, well, I mean, it's because one, James Gunn is still the person who started as a Trauma films intern guy. Like he's always been that guy. So Creature Commandos is right in his wheel space. Like that's where he's like, I can hit the ground running with this, and kind of, I made Lollipop Chainsaw. Like, this is the type of goofy, wacky, bonkers ass shit that I can throw at you and people enjoy, because I can make it palatable enough for both the normies and for the outdoor folks. Like, which, hey, that's fine. I fall in that Venn diagram. And that's the first one out the gate. Then you have Waller, which again, right in that Suicide Squad space, and we all love the Viola Davis portrayal. I think we all appreciate her performance. Yeah. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see it? Maybe not.
What, Suicide Squad?
Yeah. And Viola
Yeah.
Davis's role in it. Yeah. And so it's like that's been a good, like, he's going with stuff that he knows that's gonna work. So I can appreciate that. You touched on one thing that I wanted to jump back to. Ah, man, I lost track of it though. You brought up, dang it. Okay.
The voice acting?
The voice acting. Yes. That's not even the first time that DC's tried this. DC did a couple different animated shorts on some of their DVDs where they had the voice actors for, I want to say, oh God, it's not Huntress. What's her name? She's the animal Vixen. She played Vixen in the live action CW stuff, and then she did an animated short of Vixen, and they had the voice of both Stephen Amell for Arrow and Grant Gustin for The Flash. They did this kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, let's try and bridge those
Okay,
gaps.
but that again, that works when it doesn't hold up other projects, when you're trying to align one universe. So these one-offs with actors who are voicing these things, like Marvel's kind of doing with the what ifs and stuff like that, that's fine. But when it comes to the rest of the animated projects that don't fall within this universe, you're now telling them like, hey, you're gonna need to hold off on making these like the Justice League movies and stuff like that until we get the actors to come in and voice it, versus voice actors who have been doing it for years and who are trained to do it and can do it and make the projects, in a timely manner.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused as to see what the issue is. So essentially,
Well-
if we can't get Sean Gunn in, to do
Well, think
another.
about it. We have 5 different, or I think it's 6 different women who could voice Wonder Woman right now currently, and they could just spit out Justice League animated movies or projects with any of these women. The way Gunn's going to want to do it is whoever the actress is will voice whatever that project is, meaning you can't do 5 or 6 of them. You only do one, and it has to tie into the universe.
But they've already said that they're going to do Elseworlds, so they can easily say this is an Elseworlds. Never mind. But also, we don't have
For animation or for the stuff that's
I
already
would-
produced.
I would say maybe for this first step, it could also be a phase thing where this first stage they want to keep that consistency so that when they do explore multiverse more kind of like as a bigger front, that's when they start becoming more open to multiple projects. That could be a method where it's like, okay, you got used to this now, you've seen this now. Oh, now you'll notice it way more when it does happen, when it does get split off, like you said, into potentially more partners. I was just looking real quick because I was like, when did this happen? James Gunn had done a tweet in late November, and it was just a picture with making plans. I don't know if you guys remember or saw this at all. It was it was a shot from Kingdom Come.
It sounds familiar.
So to me, like part of the back of my head before he did this announcement was like, oh, how that would be a cool kind of like maybe not an end goal, but like a something to work toward with projects of like then they could take new projects because I think he's doing the Superman as a younger Superman, the Batman as maybe like a younger, and then we're exploring Damian as a young Robin, and all these other projects. I don't know what the ages will be, but the beginnings of a new DCU, and then maybe we'll see a phase of like this is them in the elder years, and then it kind of expands from there, and then who knows? That will maybe be chapter 2 or book 2 or whatever they want to call it, but. I don't know. That was in the back of my mind with like this could be like a cohesive space before it starts splintering off.
It's also worth noting. I'm sorry.
I think it has to be for it to have any semblance of working. You can't you've got to get through all the projects you've already done. You already have that you want to release. You have to get through those. But to start, you can't throw the first 2 things out and then go, all right, Elseworld, this, because if you haven't established that character in the main timeline, that Elseworlds version is now the character that's established with the audience. It's the problem that the MCU is going to have with Reed Richards. If they decide to switch actors but that's the guy, if we're not trusting the audience to follow along. And that's especially weird. Could especially be an issue if it's a live action Elseworlds movie. I can see that becoming really confusing really quick for some people.
I can see them getting meta with this too, with how chaotic it's been up until like leading up to the Flash film. Everything's just been like, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're trying to be cohesive, we're not. Maybe they'll allude to something where like the multiverse has grown unstable to do all the just chaos, and they like make some metaphor about that. And they're like, it's being course corrected by the monitors or the anti-monitors or whoever. And then it's like this larger hand is there, and it's like, ooh, something's behind the works, like correcting things. And then you're like, oh, what is that? And then everything going on from there is like, it looks like it's going according to plan. Things are stable, maybe. And then I don't know, something triggers it, and they're like, shit, we're back to multiverse.
Did you just pitch Rebirth?
I have an honest question, and you guys are going to probably say,
no, I mean that he did. I mean, when he said monitor, so that's I give him credit because that's. I mean, that's at least a fair narrative story to be like, oh, hey, there are some people who are trying to keep the timelines in line, and there could, and we could eventually. I mean, you could have a crisis end up being their end game. Like that's like, and by end game I mean the movie
like
end game, not the milestone. Like that's their focal point. That's another point to be made. I want to jump back to Kareem. You mentioned that you've got 5 different Wonder Womans. It's like we don't really have a set Wonder Woman, but also, to my understanding, Paradise Lost is supposed to be a prequel. So before, like this is when Themyscira broke off and became Themyscira. So Wonder Woman wouldn't be in this movie. Hippolyta or Hippolyta, depending on who you're asking, they would be the focal point and not our Diana Prince.
No. What I'm saying is, and just not to belabor this too much, is that we have 5 different voice actresses who currently voice Wonder Woman in various projects.
I don't know if you can say Lucy Lawless currently does anything. If it's been more than 5 years since a project, I don't think they're currently doing anything.
Okay, well, fair enough. Fine. We have two now. Then I guess.
We have one that has
Better-
enough champagne to feel the Nile.
Well, let's take a character that's in a lot of things right now. Amanda Waller. Do they have her in a lot of animated projects right now?
No,
if so-
exactly.
Okay. Well, if they do, I wonder. I guess then the thing is, like, if what
So is
they're
Viola
saying,
Davis going to sit there? Yeah.
do all the things. Yeah.
I mean, if she's not willing to, CCH Pounder can come back and we can just
Uh,
keep it back in that golden.
Crawling back.
I love her.
Whoa.
She was phenomenal. Okay.
We'll get into how she can come back, but
Yeah.
but here's my question I was going to mention a second ago. And again, you guys can jump all over me if it's a dumb one, because it probably will be. But how broken was the Snyderverse universe? Not how bad the movies were, but how broken was his vision? Like, where were the holes that they're saying, like, hey, we need to have a cohesive vision going forward? Because I felt like he had one. The Justice League, the movies interacted and interchanged with each other. They just weren't good.
I think it's broken when they said that Pa Kent wants people to die to keep.
Okay, God damn it.
Clark Kent-
We gotta do this
I
again.
think it happened after Justice League when they were starting to do the Shazam, the Aquaman. Different. I mean, maybe not Aquaman as much, but Shazam, and then a couple other projects after that were but weren't part of things.
Well, because I mean,
Like,
the problem
where
is that again, Warner Brothers hates Cavill, but they could have easily because they bring in spoiler alert, they bring in Superman at the end of Shazam, so all they do is show his face, and it's all
Black
connected
Adam.
again.
Oh yeah,
Wait, in Shazam?
Wait,
Yeah,
he meant Black Adam.
Adam.
no, Shazam.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No,
They did.
Shazam,
They did.
isn't it neck down? Like he's just
If
standing
they,
there?
if they just show his face, it's all connected.
But but my point was though, I just want to make sure that I'm not misunderstanding. You said that they show his face. They don't show his face.
No, I said all they had to do was show his face,
Oh,
and the
okay,
movies
sorry.
would be connected.
Yeah, yeah.
I
get
thought
what you're
it-
saying.
I thought it broke when the hierarchy of power changed in the DCU.
Well, maybe that was it. Maybe
That's gonna be at
maybe-
WrestleMania.
This motherfucker better come out and say something along those lines. I better hear it.
Yeah,
Just give him the
Maybe
people's
because of the
eyebrow.
red hood.
Okay.
But I mean, for all the talk that we're having about this conversation and how it needs to be redone, and Snyderverse was fundamentally broken. I don't think the connected universe he made was broken. I think the movies were bad. Some of them weren't very palatable for a lot of people. The vision, the interconnectedness was still there, and they could have kept expanding it.
I
This whole
think the
reboot seems kind of
interconnectedness-
rushed.
I would argue that while you're right, there was an interconnectedness. It wasn't a strong connect. It was like, oh, there's that actress that played Wonder Woman. There's Jason. There's Aquaman. That's the through line. I didn't see anything that was like Aquaman ties back into the greater picture with this through line or this
Gotcha.
event happen. It was like each of these just kind of exists. It's like, do they have any impact on each other? Do these characters? Like that's what and especially when you look at that in contrast with the MCU, you see so much of it at that same time. I think especially at that time, they were so doing it on like all cylinders. And so it was just by contrast, you're like, why aren't they? And I think Joker was coming out, and then that was so very much, it was a success, but it was just, again, a highlight of we're doing in singular individual projects, and whether or not they'll be judged on their own merits kind of thing. And
I think
we'll conveniently tie them in together when it works, but we don't care. Kind of like it was like a carelessness.
And
That
that's-
was my thought.
Yeah, and I think it's. I mean, I will probably bring this up multiple times because it is so connected. Is it the CW verse was also doing it better? Like he's like, oh, like that nut in Gotham. Like there's many times where they alluded to like, oh, well she can't be Oracle because we're gonna name her Overwatch. And it's like, oh wait, why can't you name her Oracle? Like they built out a world to connect the two things that weren't even there.
Yeah.
So it's like I appreciate that more. Like given the series went in different directions, and that's a different discussion of quality, but they tried to. They're like, oh yeah, that's
Think
core
about
industries.
Smallville.
They when you get to the Crisis episodes, yeah, they brought in Smallville, but they like, oh yeah, that's Cord Industries. It's like, oh wait, Ted Cord, we could get a Blue Beetle cameo in this season. This is gonna be awesome. We never got Blue Beetle. We never got Ted Cord Blue Beetle, but we do have Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle on the schedule, so there is that.
But, oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say just that they did a good job of trying to allude to a larger world, which is something I've always appreciated as a long-term comic book fan. That I wish that we could have had as early as the Fantastic Four movie. There was a moment that I was upset that it was the second movie was Silver Surfer, I think, and they're at the wedding, and like all the we may even cover this on Comic Book Core. Good God, there was a moment where they're like, "Oh, there's something coming to Earth. We need you to take a look at this, Reed," and he's like. Hey, I'm not like if you would have just thrown in a line saying like, why don't you go to Stark with this? Why don't you go to Pym? Like one of them. You don't even say who they are, what they say.
Nobody used to go to Pym.
Also, you
Nobody.
can't do that. Also,
Well,
Marvel
if
then
they-
sues you for everything you own.
No, but you're just saying names. You're not saying Iron Man, and you're not saying
Or their
Ant-Man
company.
or their company. You're just saying go to Stark, go to Pym. Those are names that are just out there, and also you're not like something like that is I appreciate because it doesn't have to be like, oh, we said the thing, but just give me at least a little something. Do it artfully, and I'll give you more points. By the way, jumping back over real quick, we did back in 2018, just about 5 years ago, we did have Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, an animated movie where Vanessa Williams played Amanda Waller. So there was an animated movie with Vanessa Williams. So
That's why I was so disjointed from that film.
yeah, you're just like, what? Why couldn't we have had? Which the funny thing is too is like we had Deadshot, although that was played by Christian Slater, and we had an
Whoa.
odd cast of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just want to mention the Vanessa that when we had another animated one within 5 years, per my rule, we had Vanessa Williams.
Mhm.
So,
In terms of the breaking, because I think it's interesting because I think Kareem, you're right. There was a vision, but to me that breaking point kind of Wonder Woman 1984 when I think about it, because that screws everything he had done up. Like, oh, what are all these super? Like, you already know about them. Wonder Woman's been around since '84, like hopping around, like telling kids at the mall, shh, quiet time. Also, remember the time everybody had a magical wish that we had to magically undo? And we're just like, no,
Oh yeah.
totally forgot. What's this alien guy over here? That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
wait,
very true.
Alien guy? Oh, wait, what?
Superman, Krypton.
Okay, but he
That's
wasn't
all
in
supposed
that
to be
though,
the
right?
same universe. I know, but it's
Okay.
all supposed to be the same universe.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were saying that he was in one. I'm like, I watched that
No,
movie.
no.
I thought, but I do remember when Joel from The Last of Us did give everyone a wish. So I'm back to speed.
You mean Mando?
Yeah, Mando, Joel. Whatever.
Yeah, no, I guess yeah, to pinpoint it, Pat, I would suppose yeah, Wonder Woman 1984 really throws the entire universe out the window.
And it's because Warner Brothers became just very reactive to everything. Like, oh, Wonder Woman's a big hit. We need another Wonder Woman movie right now. Go, go, go. What do you got? That's great. Let's go, 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 go. Oh, people didn't like the Snyderverse. Flip it over here. Shazam. You're
I was gonna
funny
say,
now.
I
You're
think they
funny.
had already moved on from him, right? I think that's part of the problem.
The original Suicide Squad, where they literally re-edited it because Guardians of the Galaxy was a hit. Like the whole reason they're like, we need to make this more music, more pop music will fix it.
And when you take it away from the director like that too, like given, I think that there's definitely issues with that movie from the script stage, but when you take it away from the director, you're also like saying like we don't care about any type of vision or story you were trying to tell. We just want to try and like cut this together and make a music video out of it.
I was
Like, that's
having
all we want.
flashbacks of Spider-Man 3 when that was happening, kind of. There's like when the studio came in and was like, "We want this, whatever you were."
We need Venom.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I was
Sure,
curious.
it's kind of overcrowded. We'll stop it some more.
Yeah, seriously. Did you guys have any thoughts? I mean, I've mentioned a few times the Lantern stuff, the Lanterns project that they're doing. Did that?
Oh yeah, we can go through the projects. Another thought of mine, I was telling Ken, is that at least the way he sold it. Again, I don't know who the director is going to be or how well it's going to be executed, but the way he sold it, I was like, this is a Snyder project, and I thought this is what you guys are trying to get away from, as far as like the gritty, dark, moody, edgy kind of stuff. I mean, because that's stuff he could do. I think it's stuff he does relatively.
We're talking about Lanterns, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a true
Snyder can't do True Detective. That's a different.
But my point is, I don't think you should do True Detective with Lanterns anyway.
I don't either. That's not the people. That's not the question exists. Like,
I mean, part of me wonders if it's just he's throwing, because True Detective, that was an HBO show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that I'm guessing that because he did that with Paradise Lost. He's like Game of Thrones like show, Paradise Lost. He's just like things to tie people to
he's
things.
just cross-selling. That's all
Yeah.
he's doing is cross-selling. Good
But
God.
so I'm trying not to read into it, I guess, too much. And I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, if the lanterns, the through line is it starts as a mystery, I guess I'm okay with that because they're like, we'll see investigation through their eyes. I don't know if they'll do like a young detective, older detective, seasoned detective kind of thing, like
Training
like
Day.
like Training Day. I mean, I think that would be better with a Sinestro kind of vibe if they were doing to do that, but they might go with a different direction. But I'm wondering if just the aspect of it being a mystery and they have to investigate and then we learn more about a larger thing going on, a corruption maybe within the Owens or something to that effect.
Kurosh, I don't believe this is the podcast for your defund the police banter to start. I
Oh,
don't
this
know.
is the perfect. This is the perfect pod.
That's
Oh,
fair.
we can do that. All right, let's do this. Yes.
Strap in.
Well, no, I was thinking though, because they said it's going to be their solving crimes or whatever on Earth, right?
Yeah.
And I do wonder where the time frame is, because as far as, again, you guys know Lanterns much better than I do. Their powers are pretty fantastical. Like, it's going to be hard for them to engage in whatever they're doing and not be seen. Like, it's they kind of lose some of that detective secrecy
No,
the second they do anything.
My thought is the way that they get around that is because the rings are always like reporting into like the priest to the head, whatever. If they do anything excessive, if they use their powers beyond certain like protocols, it might flag certain things. It's like, okay, we got to make sure we keep certain covers. I don't know. I'm being very what if here with
now you're pitching this as a shield with Green Lanterns because you just sold Kareem. Like, I'll just let you know up front. He's like, I'm Vic Mackey, and I'm the Green Lantern of 2814.
Yes.
Like,
can we please have a scene where they're at a triple homicide and then they make a big mallet to get the guy?
No. So in the vein of the Shield, I'm also thinking of The Wire, and there's that famous scene where they just say the F word over and over. I don't know if I can curse on this.
No.
Yeah,
Fuck
of
shit,
course.
cock balls.
Okay. Well, they just keep saying
There you
fuck
go.
the whole time, and I'm like, imagine that with Hal and John, and just walking through the room, and I'm like, a similar sort of circumstance, paying homage to that.
Wait.
Yeah.
Homage.
See, I think I had pitched. Good, Pat.
Is the Authority going to be the Y, or is that going to be Sex in the City? Did they decide yet?
Could be both.
I think it's to be Sex in the City.
Yeah.
Lots of sexiness. I think it's gonna be Oz, actually.
Oh Jesus. Oh God.
At a PC.
No. I was saying, I think again I mentioned to Ken that I thought, at least between the Hal and who's the other guy supposed to be?
John Stewart,
that they would have done like a buddy comedy where you had John Stewart be the straight guy to Hal's,
self-important
whimsies or what.
jackass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't
Versus
like Hal. I think Hal is a bad choice. I think he's the milk toast lantern that isn't interesting.
He's the Murtaugh, or no, he's the Riggs. I want to see a Lethal Weapon.
There you go.
Pairing.
That's then do Guy Gardner. Do Guy Gardner and do Guy Gardner is definitely
going
the
to be the
Riggs.
Joe Pesci character who gets brought on board late in the third or fourth
They
one.
fucked you with the rings. They fucked you with the colors.
Is Kyle Rayner, is he Rene Russo or Chris Rock?
He's Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
He's like, what?
Okay.
So they're saving Jessica for Renee.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, look at the
Sad.
badge. Look at the ring. Well, I look like a Crips accountant. Sorry.
I'm guessing something between a Lethal Weapon and an X-Files where they're like, there's something out there, we gotta believe. And then these guys are like, diplomatic immunity in your sector, bitches.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, I'll watch that. That's great.
I'd watch that.
I'm going to
But
talk
again,
to James Gunn, don't worry.
We've pitched everything except True Detective.
Like you've told me on much of this, except still know how. But otherwise, I'm on board with all these pitches.
Okay.
I think that you're gonna have to try and make Hal somewhat likable somehow.
I just don't care. Like, give me Jessica Cruz. Give me Ty Fan. Give me so many other Green Lanterns. There's so many, especially on Earth.
They're gonna be there. They're gonna be in it.
That's the craziness of it too. Is like, to your point, this is like, it's like, oh, it's all them in here on Earth. It's like they're intergalactic space cops.
Exactly.
Like, they could be anywhere, but like, it's gonna be like the Doctor
So
Who.
then
like,
it'll be season 1 though.
Wait,
Season 1 gets you on board.
But I think sorry, go.
It's just budget reasons, which I know. It's like, oh, well, we'll just do it. It's like that's why all the crimes happen on Earth. It's because that's all that DC has the budget for. But it wants to give.
If it's not Law and Order. It's not a crime of the week. So maybe if you're looking how you're going to do the plot.
Are you trying to tell me?
Oh, he's back. Finally.
Yeah.
Took about 18 episodes for Ice-T to show up again.
Fact. You and now all my bitches.
So our rings only work against yellow if they're. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right, there's a thread. All right, I think what you do is the lanterns. You start out, you spend your outer space budget on the first thing you see, and then it's like something's happened at Earth, and you go to the diplomatic community thing. Someone has done something on Earth. You have to come back immediately. It could be an intergalactic crisis, and that's how you keep them on Earth investigating. They're investigating the fantastical space crime that happened on Earth, finding out that it's the guy, like, once again, as you said, diplomatic immunity, and then all hell breaks loose.
But I fear with that idea, which is great, that we're going to run into like the heroes special effects budget kind of situation, depending on when the story takes place. Because if superheroes aren't a known thing, you can't have lanterns running around just making up giant green things everywhere. Like they're going to be like, oh, I moved a little bit something with my ring.
They can make
because they're detectives. They're trying to stay somewhat subtle. So I'm like, we're not gonna see all the cool
maybe they're shitty
things
detectives
that they could do unless they were in space.
Also, why do detectives suddenly are they're spies in your mindset?
Well, they're
detectives
not spies, but
yeah.
But
I mean,
if they make themselves known, then whoever they're hunting down or chasing can spot them immediately. Like if they come from out of the shadows, was what I'm saying. It makes the case or finding out what's going on that much harder.
So you're asking for less police oversight, is what I'm hearing from this discussion. You want the police to be able to work in the shadows and have no one like keeping.
This is what I want.
Cameras off. Cameras off.
Nobody.
What I want to see is to Kareem's point is I would want to see that restraint so that when they do go bombastic, get crazy, that it's like, whoa, they just went off record. This was like that was a unrestrained, like they lost their cool, they lost their willpower or whatever. I mean, they maybe showed some rage, I don't know, something like they start alluding to things unstable and they're like, we need to get involvement from
Gotcha.
main home or something, just so it feels meaningful when they do it. That would be my reasoning for that. But again, I don't know. I think the other thing that, like, it's a dangerous thing to do when with any sci-fi project where they either go too hard too soon or too little and then all of a sudden ramp up out of nowhere. I think it's got to be like a steady progression.
Agreed.
Whatever they decide to do, like the scale of things, the stakes at which they're going needs to just slowly, kind of like The Wire, you just follow the money, you see where it goes, and like you see that it's more than just their sector, it's more than just Earth, it's a larger thing, and just keeps building, hopefully in a meaningful way. I think that'd be cool.
What we have to avoid is surprise sci-fi. That's you can't, like,
very much so.
Detective show. Whoa, space! Like, you gotta meld them together.